The last truck left the mountain at exactly 4:12 p.m. Dust rolled through the tall pine trees as the engine noise faded into the valley, leaving behind only wind and the distant cry of a hawk. Evan Cole stood beside the narrow dirt road with a duffel bag over his shoulder and a radio clipped to his belt. In front of him, rising above the endless forest canopy, stood the fire tower. 100 feet of rusted metal staircase climbing into the sky. His new home. The ranger who had dropped him off leaned out the window before driving away. "You'll get used to the quiet," he said. Then he paused. "Most people do." Evan laughed awkwardly. "What about the ones who don't?" The ranger didn't smile. "They usually leave before the season ends." Then the truck disappeared around the mountain bend. Just like that, Evan was alone. He climbed the staircase slowly, each step clanging against the steel frame of the tower. The forest stretched in every direction, miles of untouched wilderness. Perfect for spotting wildfires. Perfect for disappearing. At the top sat the small glass cabin. Inside were a bed, a desk, an old map table, binoculars, and a radio. And silence. Deep, heavy silence. Evan looked out over the forest and whispered to himself. 4 months. That was all. 4 months watching trees. What he didn't know yet was that something in the forest was already watching him. Night in the forest came fast. The sun slipped behind the mountains and shadows swallowed the trees below. From the tower window, Evan watched darkness slowly crawl across the land like a living thing. At 9 p.m. he made his first radio call. Fire Tower 12 checking in. All clear. Static. Then the dispatcher replied. Copy that, Tower 12. The radio clicked off. Evan heated canned soup on the small propane stove. The wind rocked the tower gently. Metal creaked. Glass rattled. He expected that. What he didn't expect was the sound from the woods. Crunch. He froze. Another crunch. Like something stepping on dry branches. Evan grabbed the binoculars and scanned the forest. Nothing. Just trees swaying in the wind. He chuckled nervously. Probably a deer. But then the crunch came again. Closer. He leaned out the tower window and looked straight down. The trees below were thick and dark. But for just a second, he thought he saw movement. A shape slipping behind a trunk. Watching the tower. Watching him. Morning came with fog. A heavy gray mist filled the valley, swallowing the forest. Evan decided to stretch his legs and hike around the tower clearing. He descended the metal stairs, boots echoing loudly with every step. The ground smelled of wet pine and dirt. Peaceful. Quiet. Too quiet. Then he noticed something strange near the base of the tower. Footprints. But not animal tracks. Human. Barefoot. Evan crouched down and studied them. They were deep. Heavy. Whatever made them had weight. The prints circled the tower base. Once. Twice. 3 times. Like something had been walking around the tower all night. Watching. Evan frowned. Great, he muttered. Some camper messing around. But something about the prints bothered him. They were huge. Long. Longer than any normal human foot. And the toes. They looked wrong. The second night was worse. The wind died completely. The forest became silent. No birds. No insects. Just stillness. At 11 p.m., Evan sat by the window scanning the darkness with binoculars. Nothing moved. He leaned back in his chair and sighed. Maybe the footprints were old. Maybe he imagined the movement. Maybe. Knock. The sound exploded from below. Metal against metal. Evan jumped to his feet. The knock came again. From the tower staircase. Someone, or something, was hitting the metal structure. Evan grabbed the flashlight and leaned out the door. Hello? No answer. He pointed the beam down the staircase. The light traveled down the spiraling metal steps, all the way to the ground. Nothing there. But the knocking continued. Slow, deliberate, knock, 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 like someone testing the tower. Evan's stomach tightened. Who's down there? The knocking stopped. He heard footsteps, climbing. Metal stairs groaned below. Clang, clang, clang. Something was coming up. Evan slammed the door shut and locked it. His heart pounded in his chest. The footsteps continued, slow, heavy, climbing higher. The tower vibrated with each step. Clang, clang, clang. Evan grabbed the radio. Tower 12 to base. I got someone climbing the tower. Repeat, someone climbing the tower. Static. No response. The footsteps stopped. Halfway up. Silence returned. Evan held his breath. Minutes passed. Nothing moved. Finally, he slowly opened the door. He aimed the flashlight down the spiral staircase. The beam cut through the darkness. Step by step. Nothing. No person. No animal. No movement. Just empty metal stairs. Evan swallowed. Hello? From deep in the forest below. Something answered. A low, unnatural growl. The third night changed everything. Evan was already terrified, but what he saw at 2:17 a.m. made things worse. Far worse. He had been staring into the forest through the binoculars when he noticed a faint glow between the trees. 2 small lights. At first he thought they were reflections. Animal eyes. But the lights didn't move. They stayed perfectly still, watching the tower. Evan adjusted the focus. The lights sharpened. 2 yellow eyes. High above the ground. At least 8 feet tall. The shape around them was massive. Humanoid. Standing upright, perfectly still. Then the creature moved. It stepped forward from the trees. Moonlight revealed its body. Long arms, bent legs, skin that looked pale and stretched tight over bone. Evan gasped. The creature looked up at the tower, directly at him, and then it smiled. The creature didn't hide anymore. It walked straight into the clearing, slow, confident. Evan backed away from the window. What the hell are you? The thing reached the base of the tower. Then it grabbed the metal supports and started climbing. Not the stairs, the tower itself, like a spider. Its limbs bent in impossible directions as it scaled the structure. Metal screeched under its weight. The entire tower began to shake. Evan ran to the radio. Emergency. I repeat, emergency. Something is climbing the tower. Static screamed back. The tower rocked harder. A long pale arm appeared outside the window. Then another. The creature's head rose slowly into view. Its eyes glowed brighter than before. And its mouth opened wide. Too wide. Rows of black teeth stretched across its face. The creature whispered something. A broken imitation of human speech. VR, watcher. Evan realized something horrifying. It had been listening to his radio, learning. Evan locked himself in the tower bathroom. His hands trembled as he searched through the old Ranger logs stored in a metal cabinet. Pages of reports from previous watchers. Most were routine. Weather, smoke sightings, routine patrol notes. But near the bottom, one entry caught his eye. From 3 years ago. The handwriting was shaky. I see it every night now. Evan felt cold reading the next line. It watches the tower. Another entry. It knows my name. Another. It climbs sometimes but never reaches the top. Then the final entry. Written in huge rushed letters. It's learning. The log ended there. No more pages. No explanation. No report of what happened to that ranger. Outside the bathroom door, the creature scratched the metal walls. Slowly, patiently. Dawn was still hours away. But Evan had a plan. The tower emergency manual mentioned one last resort. A signal flare launcher. Designed to start a controlled burn if a fire needed to be contained. Evan loaded the flare gun. Outside, the creature still circled the tower. Waiting, watching, learning. Evan stepped onto the platform and shouted, "You want the fire watcher?" The creature tilted its head. Evan fired the flare straight down. The burning projectile struck the dry brush at the base of the tower. Flames exploded instantly. Wind caught the fire and carried it into the forest. The creature screamed, a horrible inhuman sound. It hated the fire. Evan climbed the radio antenna and fired another flare into the trees. More flames erupted. The forest began to burn. Smoke rose into the sky. And finally, the creature ran, vanishing into the burning woods. Rescue helicopters arrived at sunrise. Fire crews swarmed the mountain. The fire had spread quickly but was contained within a few miles. Evan sat on the ground wrapped in a blanket. A ranger approached him. "What happened up there?" Evan looked toward the forest. The burned trees stood black against the horizon. "It climbed the tower," he whispered. The ranger frowned. "Animals don't climb towers." Evan shook his head slowly. "This one did." Later that day, the crew searched the area around the tower. They found footprints in the ash. Huge, bare, not human, and leading away from the mountain, deep into the forest, where the fire hadn't reached. That night, from far beyond the burned trees, two yellow lights appeared again, watching the tower, waiting,